Let's talk about one of those median voters that wound up being a U.S. Senator real quick. Lisa Murkowski is doing her regret tour the last couple of days. Your friend of mine. She literally did the meme, brother. That photograph was so good.
Yes.
I know you were there when that happened.
Yes.
But she did it. She's doing, I call it the Murkowski and Collins cycle. They're very concerned and then they're very regretful. But they're going to do what they're told to do, which is amazing. But Murkowski's out there now talking about she's trying to pitch it. The Alaskan Beacon, that's a state newsroom, full disclosure. I do commentary for the West Virginia outlet of them, but I stand by it. They do great work. They're great state house reporters all across the country. Go find one. Free plug. She's talking about, well, I regret it, but if I didn't do it, we wouldn't have got all the things we got. And Alaska got some pretty sweet carve-outs compared to the rest of the country here. She talked about how the budget for Alaska was saved because there's a lot of state budgets that are going to get wrecked by the big, beautiful cluster FARC.
Yeah.
Collins is another one. She's trying to decide whether she's going to run or not. We'll see what happens there. Rand Paul took out a op-ed in I think the Courier in Louisville and did his I hate this thing gadfly thing that Rand Paul does. We're seeing the walk back already start, especially with these more moderate and senators like Rand Paul, who's got nothing to worry about. You mentioned at the beginning, and I never came back to it. Here's a good time to talk about Thomas Macy with the Epstein files on the steps doing his little thing, right?
Yes.
We're starting to see the strategery now from these folks on the Republican side who all fell in line, but now they're trying to lay out their markers for the forthcoming future on it. You saw it in the hallways before they got in front of the cameras, before they went to the steps, before they went to the op-eds. Who should we be watching? Who should we be listening to? Because, look, the Macy Trump thing is good for both of them, so they're going to fight on that. That's going to be the Maginot line for the next 17 months until we get to the election, whatever it is, because it benefits both of them. So they're going to be fine with that. Murkowski's not going anywhere, but she got hurt on this, and you can tell by the way she went. Collins is in, FU territory as far as political and money, so she can take it or leave it, whether she runs or not, but it'll be interesting. Again, you saw this in the hallways before they got in front of the cameras. How much of this triangulating is going to come out of this Republican side in the next couple of weeks? Because now they're all home doing, and the thing about this Murkowski thing, this is local. They're doing local media while they're all on break.
Yes.
The House is doing local media while they're home. And the local media tunes are going to be a different song than what they were singing 2 weeks ago when they had to vote on this thing.
Absolutely. You're going to be. I mean, the one that I'm going to be looking for looking at is Representative David Valadao, something like who represents California's 22nd district. It broke for Trump by I think 1 point, and but it's a very, very poor district and majority Latino. And again, I said 64% of its population is on Medicaid, according to KFF. And that is going to be, so how they sell that, particularly, how they say, is it going to be, you're not going to lose your Medicaid because of the work requirements, even though we know that work requirements means more paperwork for folks. Also we're talking about the SNAP provisions. I'll give you a perfect example. I was talking with Representative Nancy Mace, one of the somebody who loves the cameras. Everybody, let's be real. Let's talk about it. And I was talking with her about she wants to run for governor, and I said, look, your state has a large SNAP error rate, and for those who don't know the bill, if states have a large error rate for payouts for SNAP, they have to shoulder the cost of it under the stipulations of the bill. And she says, if you're able-bodied and you're on Medicaid, get an effing job. Though she didn't say effing, folks. But how she sells this is she wants to run for governor in a state where there's a lot of people on Medicaid and a lot of people on SNAP is going to be very interesting. The way that people, even just yesterday before Mike Johnson gave his little tirade about Epstein, he and Tom Emmer and Lisa McClain and Steve Scalise were all talking about trying to counteract all the negative information about the OBBB. And Tom Emmer was saying, despite what local media is saying, the ICE raids are working and things like that. How they message this, how they sell this is going to be interesting as all get out. Brian Fitzpatrick can go back to his district, which is, he wanted a district that voted for Kamala Harris, and he can say, hey, I voted against this piece of garbage, and he'll still probably win by 10 points. But again, how they sell it is going to be super interesting. And typically these things work again, Andrew, talking about cycles. Typically, after the August recess is when you see a lot of folks announce their retirement, and I think that's what you're going to see this go around. Is there are going to be people who come back from their football games and cookouts and parades and small business meetings, and they're just going to say, you know what, I'm out. It's not worth it. So I think that's when you're going to see you're going to see a handful of retirements. And again, the real tell of the wave year is if you see like just a bunch of top ranking Republicans retire.
Yeah, if you see people that's got committee assignments, people with chairmanships, that's kind of the thing. There's always a churn in the House. But if you see people with actual stroke going, no, I'm done and walking away, that's kind of the difference thing. It just, if somebody's been in for a term or two and never really done anything, you start seeing appropriators step off, things like that. Yes. That's what you're talking about.
Yes, no, yeah, exactly. If you're somebody on Ways and Means, if you're on Energy and Commerce, if you're an appropriator, my God, and you say, you know what, I'm out. That's a sign that they went back to the district and they're seeing the bad news.